It was a long journey to Bach, wasn't it?
Yes, it was since when I was 10 years old. I already played. I already started practicing the Goldberg because I was watching Glenn Gould version, the late version, and he was talking so passionate about Bach, and the way he played was so incredibly articulated
Yes.
uh, that it was quite a shock for me to hear Bach can play in this way.
So to
Yeah.
confront Bach again means that you become old?
Not really. I think Bach shows that I'm getting more mature, I would say, but not old, I
Okay.
think.
But if you, I mean, you have done almost every composer, the Russians, the Romantic composers. I mean, you have played them all, Chopin, whatever. Is there something special about Bach? It seems that all musicians, whether they play the piano, whether they play the harpsichord, whether they are conductors, uh, at one point return to Bach and say, everything has been nice, but Bach is a different league. Do you think that as well? Or is he just a
I
composer,
agree.
other as well?
I totally agree. But in a way, it's interesting because we all start with Bach. I mean, we all start with his easiest work with a two-part, three-part invention, with partitas,
Mhm.
with some easier version of
Yes.
the well timbre clavier, with the English suites, the French suite, Italian concerto. We all start with Bach. But when I was a kid, I didn't feel Bach was that difficult. But I remember memorizing his music is very difficult because
Mhm.
you have to remember each voice,
Mhm.
and that almost like in an abstract,
Mhm.
in abstract form. And of course, his fugue was always difficult. The fugue.
Yes.
But then growing up, we start to play a lot of romantic music, and then other type of music, and then you realize actually because of Bach, we build up our foundation
Mhm.
of learning other composers. So he's really, I mean, everything has come from him.
Yes. Yes.
Everything. I mean, if you look into most of the piece by Brahms or Beethoven, you see this direct line, and
Basically, is the
even
ground grammar. Like he set the
absolutely,
rules, and the others are
yeah,
playing with these rules.
yeah, yeah. But in the same time, I must say it's a slightly different because during his time, mostly he was using harpsichord, the tremolo, and also the Baroque organ, which sounded extremely different than the
Of course,
modern piano, even much more different than the Baroque violin, for
of course.
example.
So
If
you
you
have to do the
listen to Baroque
translation.
violin, yeah, you have to do the translation and also the transformation. You have to learn, how to adapt the tremolo's way of playing Bach
Mhm.
and the style of the ornamentations, of holding the chords, of playing with the finger technique.
Mhm.
And also you have to think about how the Baroque organs are doing, with the double keys and with the pedals, because I also know that Bach was not only the greatest musician on the hands, but he was also one of the best on the feet as well. When he
Yes, of
plays,
course.
he's like a dancer. That's what I
Yes.
heard.
But
So
if we are talking about the grammar, it always means that Bach, with his music, kind of ordered the world as well. He was this
yes, yes,
churchman. You have been
yeah.
in Leipzig. You have seen all these places where Bach was. Um, if and your life has been quite wild for a piano player. I mean, this great career, illnesses. You had the problems with your hand. You recovered. You had ups and downs. If you play the music of Bach now, what exactly do you feel there? What kind of world order? Does he slow you down? Does he tell you, don't take your job too serious? It's just music. What does he tell you by ordering the world? How does
I
he
mean,
order your world?
the Goldberg variation is a perfect combination of, because there are many parts, like all those slow parts from the theme to the variation 13, variation 30, variation 21, and variation, most important one, variation 25. That really gives the darkness of, particularly on the variation 25. That's really the darkest moment in our life,
Yes.
but still with hope, obviously, still with hope. But that's a real, struggling, painfulness, slowly, going forward. But actually, the realistic time is that you are going backwards. Even you are trying to move, but you are actually going back. So this is kind of like a destiny doesn't really went in the way that you supposed to do. This is something that when I had my break, it's the same thing. You just feel that pain and the struggling, and no matter how you do it, you have to be patient. It's the same thing, in this music. But in the same time, there's also a lot of like a lullabies part, and there's also the overture part.
Yes.
There's always the big organ piece, like a fireworks.
Yeah.
So in a way, this piece gives you a lot of humor, a lot of dance, and lots of pain, and a lot of reflections. This is the whole thing is almost like a ancient philosophy. You start somewhere, and then after go through
it's a meditation,
everything, and then you go back to the same place. It's almost like the Greek Odyssey. It's almost like that. You have that in the ancient Western literature. You have the same thing in the Chinese literature. It's the same thing. You have like life is a circle. That kind of that type of philosophy.
It's a kind of meditation, isn't it? And you come to yourself. Yes. And get a connection with whatever is around there. But if you say so, I very much like this picture where you said normally you want to go forward, and you feel you are going backwards the more you want. And you connect that to your own life. Now the whole world is living in very difficult times, with the pandemic, with COVID. What can Bach's music give us in this situation? Is it because Bach was played, of course, in churches, but he was a man. He had lots of children. He drank beer, so he was with both feet on the ground, and at the same time he was somehow connected to whatever thing is up there. What can Bach's music help us in this difficult situation of the world right now?
I think that Bach's music is always have some very spiritual consolation to me, because his music is so grounded with multi-dimensional voices. So in each of his music, you hear many different type of voice. And this is something that it really shows in our world. We cannot just listening to one voice, but many voices. And many voices, but it's but in Bach's music you kind of find a harmonic way, harmonious way of unite in the end. This kind of a hope. For example, the variation 30, the quarter levet, it really gives the way of joy, putting the joy together with the three complete different theme. And also Bach's music is always leading us, whether how difficult, how painful, it's always leading us to some kind of a very hopeful future. And I think the one composer that I felt has this magic power is Beethoven. And also this year is a Beethoven year. I think Beethoven also has this power. In the most difficult time, you listen to music by Beethoven, that's always bring us together, no matter where you come from, whether you're Chinese or German. It unite us. It's a really unite our heart. And then it's difficult, of course. It's a struggles. But music need to have those struggles.
Of course.
Music cannot be peaceful, because if music is just peaceful, it doesn't get anywhere to us.
Of course. But there is a difference, I think, between Beethoven, who has much more struggle, obviously, than Bach. There is Mozart.
Yeah.
I would add as well, Mozart, who is this humanity person who's just with us human beings, and there is Bach, who is, as I said, I think both. He's with the humans, but as well with some other spheres. This is how I
Yes.
would say it. Yeah.
Absolutely. I think this is also when I went to Leipzig, I realized Bach was composing music in a very noisy family surrounding neighborhood.
Yes.
I mean, he had all his kids,
I mean, imagine it,
flying
yeah.
around in the room, and then when he's making all those cantatas. I mean, this is incredible. How he can be peaceful to write those things down.
My last question is, if you listen to your Goldberg variations, they are very, 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 very slow, and you take lots of freedom for yourself. Is that something where you say as well, this is perhaps the difference to the small Lang Lang, to the child, where you say, I mean, Anankur, I think, was it to tell you you have to move freely in
Yes.
music.
Yes.
Do you think is it lots of work to free yourself within the system of music? Because it seems so easy to be like a fish in water, but obviously it is difficult, isn't it?
Yes, it is. The reason that I'm able to make those decisions on the tempo, because I believe in the first meeting with the maestro Nicholas Hanoncourt, he told me, you play very nicely, but I need more substance and I need more loneliness. Loneliness. This is so important. He said, this music need to be in a way, very personal. Need to have this very loneliness to reflect the time being, and this is he gave me this idea of really take my breath to get as deep as possible in diving into the water, to not just on the surface, but to really go down and to be brief, to not afraid of let me just touch a little bit of the water and get out. No, just really believe in myself to get into it. And this is something that I think also when Glenn Good made the recording, that also touches me, because his speed is also on the slower side, but he can hold it. The important thing is that sometimes some musicians trying to play slow, but you cannot hold it. And it become kind of a falling apart because the intention is kind of not strong enough. The intention is too weak. Yeah, but I think a real performance of getting deeper and getting mature is that you have to hold the lines. You have to you really need to make the completely tension and without kind of falling apart. And this is something also I learned a lot from Maestro Daniel Barenboim. This is also one of his specialties is to hold it and to really make the emotions going very slowly, like
he always explains
like
that
slow
with a
motion.
Tristan accord, Barenboim.
Yes.
Like if you let the glass fall, it falls, but we need to have it in the air. Okay,
yes.
but this leads me to one more question, because we have met, I think it was 10 years ago or so, and I did a documentary for Vanity Fair, and we flew within, I think, 4 days from Berlin to New York to Beijing.
Yes.
With your father at that time, and
yes.
That's what I thought. This man doesn't know loneliness. Is that something which has changed in your life as well, that you nowadays take the times of loneliness for yourself?
Yeah, I think as someone who's already getting 38 years old, I have to experience more lonely moment. Yeah, that's certainly that over the years that this loneliness is growing. Especially for musicians, we have to have this moment in life to really reflect ourselves. And I very even though every day I'm surrounded by people, but I always need to have time for myself. Every day I need to be myself for a certain hour to really think,
Because that's what you learn with Bach as well, that all music comes out of silence in the
Yes.
end. I think
Yeah.
this is what makes your Goldberg variation so special as well, because to take the time means to come out of silence, out of loneliness, and dive into the unknown world. Thank you for sharing all that with us, Lang Lang, and all the best. How's life in China right now?
I mean, it's you know, I prefer to start traveling overseas to perform, you know,
Yes.
and but I mean, it's okay to stay at home in Beijing, but I much prefer to you know, to have a world tour. I mean,
Is there a perspective already?
I mean, we're planning to start next spring. You know, that's the you know, that's the hope.
We keep
resume the world tour next spring. Yeah.
We hope all the best. Thank you very much, Lang Lang. Thanks a lot.
Thank you, Alex. Yeah. Have a wonderful day. Yeah.
You too. Thanks a lot.
Dankeschön. Dankeschön.